So do you get a sense right now that the sugar hit, the quick fix to this lack of skills in this country, the lack of investment in skills, is to bring in more migrants? 1.5 million people over the next 5 years is what's forecast.
Absolutely, and that's as a result of not investing in skills prior to now. It is a quick fix, but what we need is the foresight to start investing now for our future.
So that goes to the whole notion of innovation in this country, to create the manufacturing, the technical manufacturing that we could have in this country, which would create the jobs, and especially the jobs for your members.
Absolutely, and look, manufacturing's perfect example. I don't think technology's always been there in manufacturing. Right back to you could draw the parallel of, there was a time we never used a crane to pick things up. There's always been machinery there, some form of technology to assist workers. That technology is getting more and more advanced as time goes on. But what we don't want to see is technology coming in place of workers. If technology in the past has been an aid for workers to help efficiency in business, for them to take on more work, what we don't want to see is technology come in that displaces workers. That means that they go from working for Fred in one factory and have to move down to work for Joe in another factory that hasn't quite caught up with the technology. And when he does, they have to move again.
When the Australian dollar hit, $1 US, that killed off a lot of manufacturing jobs in this country. Right now, the other danger that could kill off jobs, our competitiveness, if you like, is energy prices. Yep. And quite clearly, energy prices are working contrary to the interests and the competitiveness of Australian manufacturers and therefore workers. Yep. Have you got a quick fix for that?
Yeah, well, there's no quick fix.
No.
Well, I guess, but there is a fix, and you raise a good point around when the US dollar, and the Australian dollar, the impacts from that. We had a mining boom at the time. And what were we calling for then? And it's no different to what we're calling for now around critical minerals. We can't be a country that just digs things up and ships things off. We need to value add. We've got critical minerals at the moment that we know the rest of the world is looking for. We should have policy in this country that ensures that if we're going to dig something up, that before we ship it off, that we are actually value adding, that we're creating jobs before we ship it off overseas.
So is what you're suggesting that a little like those Gladstone gas plants that didn't have a gas reservation on them, that with critical minerals, we should have some sort of reservation on those minerals to make certain they serve Australia first?
Well, we should have a policy in place that either makes sure, one, they service Australia first, and two, that if we are providing these things to the rest of the world, that we value add to it and create jobs out of it rather than just digging it up.
Yeah, so processing here in Australia. So then go to the energy side of that, because that's going to require energy. Where does the energy come from? Is it gas? Is it renewables? Is it nuclear?
Well, yeah, good question. Good question. Look, I think, go back in history a little bit. 2014, 2015, we were crying out for gas reservation. Nobody listened. We could see it coming. Why couldn't everybody else? In fact, we probably have to apologise that we got it wrong. We were saying back then, when gas was running at $3 or $4 a gigajoule, that it was likely to triple in price. It went far beyond our expectations. So apologies that we got that wrong. I wish we were right, but we've seen gas go from that $3 to $4 mark to $20, and on the spot market, in some cases, up to $60. Now, people wouldn't believe that in some of our major industries, we have people like our members employed that sit there and watch the spot price and have a big red stop button and hit stop when it goes too high.
I know a founder in Adelaide that does exactly that. So every time the price goes too high, they just stop the foundry.
Just stop.
Yeah. Which seems nuts.
It's absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, we don't have a stop button in our house. Yeah. Power keeps running whether we're home or not, right?
So is nuclear one of the answers? Of course, people have talked about this.
It could be, but I think the question of nuclear, I'm not going to be advocating for nuclear here today, but what I would say is when we're looking for a long-term energy fix in this country, all options should be on the table. And as I said earlier, we're a country that's got every resource at its feet. We've got a sun that always shines, we've got wind that always blows, we're surrounded by water, we've got minerals in the ground, we've got, every option should be on the table when it comes to energy. This country, especially our manufacturing sector, should have the cheapest power in the world. We should be selling our resources and backing ourselves in that as a result of selling those resources, our companies have got the competitive advantage. That creates jobs, that creates wealth, and our households should be proffering from, like our community should be proffering from cheap energy.